Secretary, Dr. Samuel Shelukindo, Ambassador Stephen Mbudi, just introduced, and our acting dean, excellencies, heads of diplomatic missions and international organizations. I also wish to recognize the members of management team. If you could all stand up in the ministry. Really a pleasure and such a privilege to host such a distinguished group of diplomats and friends. I thank you most sincerely for the honor of accepting my invitation to meet here today. As you know, I've had the privilege of meeting and working with some of you in my previous roles, and it is an absolute pleasure that with this new role we will continue to work together, and we'll meet frequently and have a deeper, impactful engagement. I approach this role with tremendous humility and gratitude to the President for trusting me with this important function. I also approach it with tremendous humility, knowing how important is this role to the prosperity of our country, for cooperation between our country and newer countries and peoples and organizations. As you know, the President recently made some changes in the setup of the ministry by creating two positions. One is a Deputy Minister dealing with East African cooperation, who unfortunately is not here with us. He's traveled to his constituency for pressing matters, and Permanent Secretary for EAC as well, who has just been introduced. The rationale for changes, as the President talked about during our swearing in, was to enhance efficiency and effectiveness in our diplomacy generally. So we hope that this is going to enable us to fulfill our mandate with efficiency. I know and I appreciate that all of you have had a well-established personal and working relationship with my predecessor, Dr. Stegomeno Tax, and I want to commit to you that I intend to keep on and double the efforts that she had undertaken to make sure that we work together very well and we engage. I want to, before I proceed, take note of events, tragic events that have taken place in our two sister republics, the Kingdom of Morocco and Libya. And as the government and people, United Republic of Tanzania, would like to express once again our heartfelt condolences to our dear brothers and sisters in the Kingdom of Morocco and the state of Libya for the tragedies caused by devastating earthquake in Morocco and floods in Libya that has led to loss of thousands of lives and injuries and destruction of property. During this trying time, we join you and bereaved families and the people of Kingdom of Morocco and state of Libya in mourning this heavy loss. May their soul rest in eternal peace, as we say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. So now I am tremendously excited that I get to work with you, and it appears that when I was planning for this event and the future engagement, I had planned to host a barbecue in my yard, but looking at the number here, people, and the size of my yard, I'm thinking maybe we should have plan B. But the idea for this role for me is to have a personal and close working relationship with each and every one of you. I will be available to you all the time, and some of you are already on my WhatsApp, and if you don't have my WhatsApp, you can have it today. I know that the world of diplomacy operates on protocol, not verbals, and waiting for official channel to be called in for an appointment. We will do that, but also we will meet immediately when need arises. That's the way I work, and I don't know any other way other than moving fast and providing opportunity for a partner, friend who needs to see you, who has an idea, who has a pressing matter that needs our attention. So my commitment to you is greater access, greater engagement, availability, dialogue, with a hope for building mutual trust between us. I want and wish and hope that your presence in our country will have the intended purpose for you to be here. This is your life's work, and it has to amount to something, and that depends on the way we are organized as government and the ministry to make sure that we benefit from your presence here. So I would like to, this meeting today has two sections. One is this speech that I need to give, and an interactive session. I would like to spend as little time as possible in this formal speech so that we can have more time to talk. And we will excuse the members of press on that session so that we can be frank and honest and open to each other. So I'm looking forward to that. But before that, let me say some few things that are important. One is, as you know, we are reviewing our foreign policy. We have started the process. Foreign policy, as you know, is among the core instruments essential in guiding relations between states, international organizations, and other key players. So, prompted by new developments and prevailing situations, as you know, our previous policy was formulated in 2001, and the world has changed quite tremendously since then. So it was necessary that we review our policy. So as we speak, the process for consultation and gathering ideas among stakeholders is ongoing, and we hope that the document will be finalized in the next few months. As you know, as if you have interacted with my predecessor, the pillar of our policy will continue to be economic diplomacy, but we have taken care to cover other emerging issues, environment and climate change, diaspora engagement, blue economy, and others. So it will be an updated document that takes into consideration the changing world. The policy will underscore Tanzania's traditional tenets of promoting peace and stability, good neighborliness, adherence to non-alignment, focus on bilateral relations, and regional integration and multilateralism. So we will still stick to the guiding principles of the previous policy. So, but as I mentioned, economic diplomacy will form a key pillar. We intend to build the capacity in the ministry and reorganize ourselves to be able to execute our ambitions for economic diplomacy. Much as we have put focus on the economic diplomacy, but our ambitions have not matched with the capacity. Our ambitions for economic diplomacy has not matched with the way we are organized. So we will make some changes in this area, bring in new people, even outside government, to man this economic diplomacy desk, people with relevant abilities and capacity and experience for them to enable us to execute this important objective. So generally, the government has made tremendous strides in recent years in consolidating policy, institutional and regulatory reforms to improve business environment. As you know, the President has engaged the world with new vigor and purpose. And we need, as a ministry, to be able to institutionalize this work and to be able to reap benefits for the engagements that Tanzanian leaders make with the world. So on the political sphere, as you know, the economic diplomacy is also in tandem with adherence to the democratic principles and the rule of law in the country. And to give more impetus to this endeavor, this government has exemplified its commitment to improve political rights, as you are aware, among other rights. Recently, as you know, the political space has been opened up, and the President has introduced the 4 pillars for consolidating democracy and people-centered development. The 4 pillars are known as 4Rs, which is reconciliation, resilience, reform, and rebuilding. These 4 pillars is an invitation to partners and friends like yourselves, and to embark on a path with us for necessary reform to ensure that all Tanzanians are free to participate in the governance and development of our country. As I mentioned earlier, we see an improvement in political dialogue among political stakeholders here. I saw some of you participated in the recent meeting organized by Council of Political Parties to talk about the future of the country and the important reforms that are necessary to entrench democratic governance. So this is one item that I wanted to talk to you about. Secondly is bilateral relations. We, this government has made tremendous strides and we've seen some success in promoting bilateral cooperation between Tanzania and many of your country. We have made wide range of bilateral engagements through platforms that are traditional, which are political diplomatic consultations, JPCs. We have JPCs with many of your countries, joint commissions for cooperation, business forums, expo, high-level visits that has taken place. But also, we have undertaken numerous memorandum of understandings and agreements to codify areas of cooperation. This year alone, we have had a couple of inbound and outbound high-level profile visit to and from far and wide by the President and Vice President and Prime Minister and President of Zanzibar. All these visits have been instrumental in stimulating closer cooperation and paving the way for enhanced socio-economic development. On that note, I would like to thank the respective ambassadors for your active role and tireless effort in making all these visits a resounding success. And this will intensify from now on, and we plan to audit all the JPCs that have taken place to make sure that what we agree are implemented. Our engagement are not only limited to visits, but also include constructive political dialogues with our development partners and friends that assist in shaping our thinking on variety of issues at bilateral, regional, and multilateral levels. In that regard, I wish to affirm my commitment and the commitment of Tanzanian government to maintain and deepen the practice of convening regular political dialogues between our countries, as they have proven to be instrumental in addressing prevailing challenges. I want to repeat that. We want to maintain, strengthen, deepen this practice of political dialogue at bilateral level here in Tanzania, or in group settings, as you have groups in the diplomatic community. This is very important to attain a common understanding and also to hold each other honest in terms of our shared values. So this we will do, and I'll personally see to it. As I mentioned, do not hesitate to reach out to me or members of my team wherever you wish to establish a framework for political dialogue between your countries and Tanzania. And I intend to make visits, working visits, in most of your capitals between now and end of the year to consolidate our bilateral ties and cooperation. So am I available? And we will plan well to make sure that the visits that I make bear results. I'm ready to go anywhere at any time if that enhances our bilateral cooperation. On continental and regional issues, as you know, our rich history and foreign policy permits us to give due priority to continental and regional integration, particularly in the framework of African Union, EAC, SADC, and Indian Ocean Rim Association. To synthesize our active role in these regional bodies, we shall endeavor to collaborate with Your Excellencies bilaterally or jointly in all matters of great importance, including promotion of peace and security in the region and implementation of major infrastructural projects that transcends borders. Tanzania is a founder of EAC. Tanzania is a founding member of SADC. Tanzania is a founding member of African Union. We intend to retain leadership in these important organizations. We intend to be active and playing our expected role and historic role in stability of the region and the continent, and in integration of East Africa and SADC. We, as you know, are active participants, and we support the Nairobi process for the DRC and the Luanda process for the DRC as well, through various peace and security initiatives. Also through our membership in the African Union Peace and Security Council, we'll remain actively engaged in such durable peace and stability in the continent. I want to reiterate this, that Tanzania has had a historic role as a beacon of peace, security, and stability in the region. We intend to continue to do that. We'll be more active in providing leadership in this area. While participating in the political and economic engagement arrangements in these continental and regional bodies, Tanzania also is keen to ensure that its membership contributes positively to enhance regional trade. In order to fully harvest potentials for its economic relations, Tanzania will continue to place itself on the path of industrial development so that we double intra-Africa trade with value-added good. We intend to take full advantage of the operationalization of African Continental Free Trade Area that we have now ratified. In multilateralism, as you know, this is a stage where a family of nations work together, and Tanzania places great importance in this arena. For the longest, we have committed to actualize the implementation of our common development agenda, including the SDGs, in line with our national priorities. In that context, we have been at the forefront to champion the reforms of the United Nations and its constituent bodies to ensure that they're in tune with the current geopolitical structures of the world. This is also important for us. Under my leadership, the ministry will heed the call to continue collaborating and seek solutions to common challenges, be it building resilience and adapting to climate change, or fight transnational organized crimes, and also peace and security. In acknowledging this noble cause, we, as you know, have had an opportunity, and I saw most of you participated in two major international conferences in Dar es Salaam, the Africa Human Capital Summit and Africa Food System Forum, which were recently held. The two summits provided an opportunity for African leaders and other stakeholders to discuss on acceleration of African growth through addressing a learning poverty and skills gap. It was a significant platform for advancing also agriculture and food system agenda on the continent. So to conclude, allow me to once again convey my appreciation for all of you for coming in huge numbers to have this initial engagement as I assume my duties. As I mentioned earlier, wish to affirm our team's readiness to engage further with Your Excellencies on matters of mutual interest. And before opening the floor for discussions, let me use this opportunity also to humbly remind all of us to, as you know, are there to establish channel of communication, with the government through Vienna Convention and the standing orders of the government of Tanzania. I think it's important for us to be able to coordinate your efforts when we know and we are present and we help you with engagements with other stakeholders in the country. I know that it requires of us to act fast, to respond, to not verbal quickly when you seek engagements, and we will correct this. But please, let's stick to the way things are done. We would not expect, rogue engagements out there, which we find it difficult when we convene within government to streamline our operations. Now, finally, let me say that, look, you are here in Tanzania because you have chosen to be our partners. And we value this choice. And as I said earlier, this choice and this investment to be here must lead to benefit for all of us. The choice of you being in this country, the investment that your countries have made to be here, all your organizations have made to be here, must be a source of pride and satisfaction for you and us as well. We can't let you feel miserable here in this country. We can't let you feel idle. We can't let you feel lost. And we will do all that we need to do to make your presence here impactful. There is nothing worse than an appointed representative of a country or a president or a king to come here and they cannot get an appointment. The letters can not be responded to. This we will not allow. So we'll make sure that what you want to pursue in this country for mutual benefit is pursued and given a chance. So this I commit. I used to be Minister for Energy. I have a little bit of energy still. And I enjoy being busy and active. So, as an ambassador, if you feel that you're not moving, if you feel that there are roadblocks, if you feel that your effort is not bearing fruit, please talk to us. We'll help you, most definitely. And diplomacy is your life's work, and building bridges and partnerships is why you're here. You are here to build strong ties between our countries and your countries and organizations to pursue common interest and meet the challenges of our time. I think we must not lose sight of this as to why we're here, why you're here in Tanzania. To build stronger ties, build bridges, pursue common interest, and meet the challenges of our time. This is summation of our work, and we will be with you to make sure that that this is realized. I know that you know this, but I must emphasize that you play a very important role here in Tanzania. You promote dialogue between our country and your countries and peoples and organizations. You give your countries and organization a face in this country. And also, conversely, you paint a picture of Tanzania in your countries and in your organizations. And I know that actually many of you do this way better than we can. You are advocates of Tanzania in your countries, and this we appreciate very much. So through you, we have a face of your countries here in Tanzania, and we hope that you paint a correct picture of Tanzania in your countries as well. This task is very, very important to advance common understanding, to pursue common interest, to tackle common challenges. This we must not forget. And you have had a critical impact on political and social relations between our countries and people. This is an awesome responsibility. This is an absolutely awesome responsibility. But for it to happen, for that responsibility to be executed, there ought to exist ability and willingness to engage. Ability and willingness for constructive dialogue. This is a prerequisite for our presence here to have meaning and to have impact. We have expressed our willingness and desire for constructive dialogue, and we hope for the same from you. And with this, we can address easily, when we have this, we can easily and quickly address whatever challenge is before us. Either it's poverty, access to education, peace and security, diseases, hunger, and so forth. This is important. Now, so we personally, and I know for the government, we value your presence here. You have an important role to advance common understanding, to tackle common challenges. But we have to engage. We have to have constructive dialogue. We have to have open and frank and honest discussion. We don't expect to, if you want to do an advisory, talk to us, okay? And then if it needs to happen, it needs to happen. But there's nothing worse than people in the ministry to read on your Twitter account that there's an advisory. Because you have my contact, you know our address, you have an email, you have my number. We don't expect to read on Twitter that this and this thing. So, you know, we are free. You're free to engage with multiple stakeholders in this country. And I know there will be moments of dissatisfaction. Talk to us. Let's engage. Let's do dialogue. Let's find a common understanding. And if we part in terms of understanding, that's okay too. But at least we have talked. This I expect from all of you. Now, there's a quote by a famous German natural scientist, Alexander von Humboldt, who said, the most dangerous worldview is the worldview of those who have never viewed the world. The most dangerous worldview is the worldview of those who have never viewed the world. You in diplomatic services have viewed the world. You have network and contacts. You encounter multiple point of views. You mediate them. You explain these point of views. You are an indispensable group in advancing common understanding and cooperation. And we are very grateful for your availability to us. Thank you very much.